Hey Abdul, how you doing? Okay. Hey, I tell you what you can do. Well, I would normally invite all of your guests, Abdul, but this is a secret group. We're supposed to be discreet here. Ah, how's the sound and the video? Everything okay? No? Yes? Let me see. Let me try this. There you go. Yeah. How you doing, Clyde? Let me try again. There we are. Okay. Things are working out all right. Hey, Pastor. Oh, good. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, hi, Radman and K Bomb. Good to see you guys. The Magnificent 50, right? Or the Magnificent 7 plus 43. Hi, Hater. Okay. Let me get started so that we can get some headway. I'm going to try to explain something that I don't fully understand myself. So you're going to have to bear with me on the specs that we got. Okay, the first thing I think we talked about this last week. The Lurchin pouches were ordered and invoiced, um, and this was essentially set up by Hater. Way to go, Hater! And we're getting. They're going to be sending one. I've got a meeting on Wednesday with Mike Margolis. Now, as you may remember, Mike Margolis is the Chapac rep here in the U.S. He used to be the rep for H. Moser, I think, and possibly some other ones. I think possibly Singer as well. Anyway, he's very familiar with shipping and everything. But I thought that neither Hater nor I are, have shipped this many watches. I think probably both of us have had watches from overseas. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit down with Mike on Wednesday and find out about that. Now, the the ones coming to the U.S., they're all coming together, and I'm not too concerned about those. But the ones going to every place else in the world, I want to be sure that we get the right kind of packaging and everything. Possibly the outfit that Mike is working with will take care of that, but I got to find out what's what, so that when the time comes that we're going to be ready. Morning, Steve. How are you? It's a beautiful day in Connecticut, the first day of spring. Uh, so that's a little good news. Okay, so those that's the first thing I want to talk about. Any questions or ideas or suggestions about that? And this has to do with either the pouches or the packaging that we're going to be getting sometime. By the way, too, there's I don't really know. I was hoping that the watches are going to be already in June, but I don't know. It's going to depend on, I think, getting all of the parts for the movement and everything done so that they can be put together with all of the other parts. I've invited both Nicholas and Matu to come today to join us, and so we'll see. Maybe if they can make it, they can add some more information for us. Let's see. One of the things I wanted to say, um, they're going to give us a proof on the dial. I don't want the dial to come to me. I want it to go to Nicholas or Matu or both of them can look at it. I think that they're the ones. Already, Matthew has. There was some little detail that he saw on the dial that he's already fixed. So I think he's the guy to he and Matthew and Nicholas. I'm hoping so. We'll see. Good morning, Owen. How are you? As I know it's closer to noon over there. In fact, it's probably afternoon there. So that's where we are on that. Um, the last I heard from Fiedler was week before last, and they said they'd have an invoice for me by last week. I never heard from them, and so what I'll do, I'll write an email. What I found out works out best. If I have this evening sometime, I'll write an email to them. It'll be the first thing they get in the morning. I don't know if it's the best idea to do it on the weekend, but uh, when they're going back to work on Monday, I'll ask them in a nice way. Is anybody asleep at the wheel there? Okay, no, I won't do that. All right, so let's see. So I'm waiting for that invoice. Now I put up the Nicholas gave me the testing parameters for our watch, and the the I translated it from French into English, and let me go over it with you. Hi, Robert. How you doing? Okay. How many of you downloaded that PDF file? I mean, do you know the one I'm talking about? I have a part of it on the front of the little announcement, the little banner I had for our discussion today. That's the one I'm talking about. And so let me see if I can tell you what it said in French. If Hi Jay, if you haven't downloaded it yet, either from the 6801 Facebook page or from the WhatsApp group page, it's probably a good idea because it's got a lot of information in it. And but it's in French. So I translated it, and let me see. Some of this may not make sense. It has walk x minus 0.0 slash plus 15.0 minus 15 slash plus 15. That has something to do, I think, with two things. One, it's 15 minutes, and I don't know if the plus 15 is 15 seconds or part of the 15-minute testing they do. I mean, they have different levels of testing. One of them is 15 minutes, another one is an hour, and they have different kinds of things like that. Then they have step positions D. Step D is positions 25 and 30. And then, what's it called? The amplitude minute per position dishes. And then they have 250 and 230. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure what they mean, okay? Because I do know that those are they're within the acceptable range, but they're not in the kind of excellent range that most movements start off with. Of course, most movements start off with one degree of one position. Ours is going to have six, and getting the timing and everything right on six positions is something that is time consuming and has to be done just right. And let's face it, these guys know what they're doing and we don't, or at least I don't. I know a lot of us think we do, but I don't. I thought I knew everything when we started this and found out I knew almost nothing. Okay, then there's amplitude minute per position hanged. 230, 210. Your amplitude, I think, is right around I had it written down somewhere, that your typical amplitude should be different than that. And, but I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Uh, Adjustment angles. I think this is it. Yeah. From my understanding of amplitude is that if it is in from 270 to 310, that's amplitude. And what that refers to is the swing of the balance wheel to 270 to 310 degrees. That's excellent. Acceptable is 250 to 270. And so I'm not sure what that means. And it looks that there is a certain amount of amplitude that is measured, which is even more precise than anything that I know of. Uh, but anyway, for those of us who think we know something, this may be helpful. Okay, let's see. The six positions are dial up, crown down, crown left, crown up, crown right. Uh, but they do more than that. Are things that I don't fully grasp. And like I said, all of you guys should have that PDF file. So please take a look at it. It's in French. I don't know if I provide it. You can translate it from French. Just take it to Google Translate and it'll translate everything for you. Here are some remarks. The values are measured on six positions, which is a lot. Control OH, 0H plus 15 minutes, 24 hours control, RDM control, aesthetics, and function. These are the testing things. Now, here's the timing control, simply a translation from French. Fifth. Manually wind a movement back, caution, fix flange. Uh, I'm not sure what that means unless it's one of those attempts at hacking by reverse turning the crown. I wouldn't do it, period. Caution means don't do it. It doesn't mean, well, you can do it with caution. At least to me, it doesn't. Pushing back the crown, take a measurement of OH after 15 minutes of operation. Uh, Take a 24-hour measurement after 24 hours of operation. What that means, I think, you start with zero, and I think that's OH, and then you measure it after 15 minutes, and you measure it after 24 hours. Okay, allow the watch to run to a stop so that the power reserve can be determined. Um, okay, function check. Turn the hands to 12 o'clock at least. At least. Cosmetic control 30 centimeter, the eye under normalized light, marks, scratches, and hairs. Okay, so in case you were wondering what that said, now you know. Um, Usually, I jump on the time grapher, and the things I look for were on the list that I have that were it's either excellent or acceptable, and if it's outside of acceptable, what's going on here, I think, is a little different than that. But it's in a way, it's comforting to know is that this is not something that those of us who belong to pretentious watchmakers not only could do, we probably don't understand it. I think a lot of guys think they understand it, but that's another story. So I feel very good about this. There was something when I looked at the PDF file, there was some kind of reality to it, to our watch. Just looking at it, I thought, wow, man, that's our watch. It's very, very excited about that. Um, Okay, let's see what else we have to deal with. Agonor test. Yeah, okay. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention, and this is sort of wide open, um, while we're waiting, it's sort of, idle hands is the devil's workshop. So I've been at work in the devil's workshop and looking at some different options in the future. Once we get all of this done, we're going to be sort of like Wile E. Coyote going a million miles, go right off the cliff and whoop. So I thought though maybe we could do another watch and some three different options that I was thinking of. The first one would be the easiest, and this would be one um, that Clyde came up with, and that simply have homage to Philippe Dufour and Roger Dubuis, who had the dial with the Roman numerals on it, and then the same color that we have. But instead of having uh, observatory hands like we have, they're in brigade hands and blue brigade hands. And so what we could do is have a watch, sort of like a second watch that's the same but not the same, and then we wouldn't, because all of everything is already done for it. We have the case, we have the movement, we got everything we need except one thing, and that's simply having a new dial in hands for it. So that was one thing we were thinking about. That would be the easiest thing to do. So whether people want to do that or not, and then we could invite new people in. I got a feeling if they once they find out about our watch, they're going to be very interested. All right. And we also talked about too is that uh, about $1,000 of what we paid went into the research and development. It could have been more than that. I mean, it went into like getting the movement uh, developed and stuff like that. And so, in looking at everything that we have, and now that we're a lot smarter, or now that we think we're a lot smarter, that might be one option. Uh, a second option, this is one I came up with, and again, this is me. It's not wasn't everybody. Oh boy, let's go do this. Is also working again with Agonor. If they're not fed up with us yet, we don't want to see you guys ever again. Um, is that um, the it's called a Zulu time, and a Zulu time would be essentially a dual time watch, uh, done in the heritage style, the old pilot heritage style with the big numbers and everything, and maybe a bigger crown. But we could actually I guess the problematic part would be whether we could get it into the same case or have if the movement were designed for that case that we already have. So anyway, yeah, Tour Beyond, it is close to the original. It is very close to the original. I'll tell you what, for an exercise, this is what I did. I took a look at a lot of watches that were entered into the Grand Prix, and year after year after year, so many of them were exactly the same watch with a different dial. Okay, so anyway, so that was the first one. And Tour Beyond, the that was one of the things that I thought too. It would be just like having two of the same watches, which in my case I wouldn't mind because I only get one. Um, okay, so that was one idea. The other idea, like I said, was this Zulu time with the pilot's watch. Now this would be a pilot's watch with a window. I have it here. You'd have a window with a second time zone that would be Zulu time, which is Zulu time is essentially, I think they call it universal something or other time or Greenwich Mean Time, and that's used by pilots, and it's sort of a cool way to have a dual timer. You know, that's all. Simply something would be a dual time zone. So that was another idea. Now, another one would be trying to figure out if we could come up with a $2,000 watch using the Carnot movement. Using, I think, I if just 10 people had one, uh, and it would it is an automatic movement. It's a Carnot 102, and I think for 10 people they were like $1,200. For 100 people, the unit price was a thousand. Wait, yeah, 1,000 even. No, it was 900. It was 900 Swiss francs, and I see if we could figure out a way that we could get a, you know, for about around $1,200 to have a dial and hands and everything with it to go with it. Another idea. This one under 2,000. I've been told that it's impossible to do that, but after our experience here, I don't think it's that impossible. Not if we had a $900 or even a $1,200 movement and work with a dial maker. First choice being Boot Lannon and Caton because we know them. Like I said, I don't know. These are just ideas. And if you guys have some other ideas, one that came up and uh, a lot of people seem to be interested in was another chronograph using the agograph movement. Now that's something that I probably wouldn't be involved in. Uh, what was that cheering I just heard? Because I'm just not into chronographs. I have a chronograph. I don't hate chronographs. It's just not what I'm interested in. So anyway, Robert, okay, the idea of a $2,000 wash. I think, Robert, that's the whole thing. I was thinking of like we got a lot of guys out there that would really like something like that. And they're sort of tired of buying Seikos and Hamiltons and some and or used anything. And but to have a movement by Mojon would be really something. So anyway, oh, the jump hour, yeah, could give the 2K a simplicity look. That's a great idea. Uh, yeah, have it look like simplicity, but it'd be automatic. And I do think that they have the subdial at 6 o'clock on that Carnode 102. And so that might be something really cool. Yeah, I agree, Robert. I agree. Is your jump hour idea dead? No, no, it's not dead at all. It's just, these are some things to kick around. We got some time because I don't know, like everything seems to, I mean, once, we've got the something that is going into production, once that's running, I think, we're in pretty good shape. Um, I'd really like to get these things done and paid for. I don't know where the economy is going. And that's one reason I'd like to get it done and paid for. Okay. One of the things that I've seen is that uh, I think ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, there was some slippage of the Swiss franc dropping lower relative to the dollar. Now that may be important to me. I don't know what the deal with the euro or anything else is, but the sooner we get this paid for, then that's something we don't have to concern ourselves with. Okay. Um, Cheaper the watch, more people could participate. You know, uh, Kayvon, that's exactly what I was thinking. We're collectors. We know collectors, and we know different collectors, and we know that everybody. I mean, the one we have under 10,000 for one of this caliber, to me, is a miracle. This should be a $30,000-$40,000 watch, but it's not. It's one we can afford, and I think that's important. And that's I feel the same way about the if we did the Zulu time would be another one. It would be a wonderful one to work with um, Agenor again if they haven't changed their address and moved. Here we are again. Um, okay. Yeah. Hey, Hater. I kind of like the Zulu idea, something new, but I'm all for a Cronode watch too. Well, that's something we can look into. Is a Cronode a micro rotor? I think so. I think it is. All you guys got to do, hang on a second. You can do this. Go to, hang on a second. I'll look it up. Go to cronode.ch. Um, unless you're French, click the English one. Let me see. Cronode calibers. Here we go. Okay, they have two. No, it's not a micro rotor. It's a big rotor over the back. They they've done what they have that sort of that overlap over it so that they can keep it as thin as possible, and so they can add the weight below the lip, and so you have sort of a little skirt around it. Take a look at it. You guys know how to look things up on computers by now, especially website. Just go to cronode.ch and look it up. Zulu is my choice. Yeah, I like them all. So I have we can go totally German and get ourselves a movement from UWD. Hater, I do like that idea, but this is. Let me tell you another thing that I was working on at one time. I was talking to Marco Lang, and with his new company and his new everything, and maybe with Marco Lang and in cahoots with Stefan Kadoki and what's his name, Richard Harbring, is to have sort of the sort of the a German guys watch. I'll put it that way. Maybe even a Flieger, and have them have a special movement for us. And I think that once we've shown what we can do with Lyrique Etu One, I got a feeling that that may change a lot of minds. Uh, we'll see. Maybe not. I these are just ideas. Like we've got, what we found. We learned a lot of stuff on this project, and learned a lot. Know the people, know all the players and everything. And I think doing something with them again, I think would be great if they'll have us. Um, so that like I don't know, there are all kinds of different options we can do. In in the one hand, I like the idea of doing something with guys like Marco Lang and guys like think Francois Jean Mojon. But I also like, I mean, working with the Vita Rex has just been, I mean, there's so much talent there, and it's been such a good experience. And having working with tip top watchmakers, so really excellent horology is sort of exciting. I like doing that. Okay, any other ideas you guys have? I just like we got plenty of time to kick these things around between now and you know oh, Jay. Yeah, getting a super complicated watch, I don't know. The, to me, I sort of I know like that one of the things like me and my chronograph. This is about as complicated as I want. In fact, I sort of look the other way, looking at simplicity. A watch I'd really like to have somebody work with to develop is one with a nice big balance wheel, and 1.5. I think that's it. 2.5 hertz. Is it 1.5 or 2.2 hertz? Maybe that's it. 18,000 VPH with a nice big balance wheel, nice steady kind of watch. Um, that I think that I would really like, because then now we're starting to think about constant force, and you have this um, inertia in a big balance wheel. Yeah, these ideas, I mean, there are a lot of different ideas. I'd also, if we're going to go complex, let's go with a remontoid Galatée, something that'll deal with constant force, not like, a chronograph, adding a bunch of stuff on it that you never use, or unless you're timing your egg with one instead of using your Fitbit. Um, Yeah, big complications, Jay and Hader. Yeah, they can be a lot of fun, but man, I tell you, they go way up. They get very expensive very quickly. Jay, the Agenhor dual time at Sporty. This was the whole idea behind Zulu time, um, and using that the heritage look on an older watch. I mean, on an older design. It- Take a look at the Patek Philippe pilot watch. Okay, and it's also on the H Moser Heritage. It has that certain. It's also on, I think, Zenith's Big Pilot, and some other ones. There's sort of the old-fashioned big clunky letters, um, with something you'd need a silk scarf and goggles to wear flying. And I don't know. It's just ideas, but getting complicated when you start getting more complications, then the price just goes way up. We were lucky. Some of you may remember when we had worked on at one time with Agenor. We tried to get something going early on in the pandemic with a retrograde. I think it was a retro. Yeah, it was just a sort of a simple retrograde, and the kind of changes and the kind of work was just way out of what we could afford. And so we sort of backed off. And what we did was that worked with Agenor, and they said, "Well, listen, let's see what we can do with some base that existed." So having that 6911 base, and then adding the second hand, but it wasn't just the second hand that was added; it was the Agon S gear that was added to it, which is just to me just like whoa, because Agon S was something I never called it that. I call it the gear with a spring in it. To me, was always a brilliant piece of underappreciated horology that Jean-Marc Viderec did. And I always just thought, man, that was such a cool thing. And I didn't know what watches it was in. And apparently it's in some, but not a whole lot. And then on top of that, getting the Agon Pit um, regulator, which was in this 6911, but still those kinds of things are cool. So what we're trying to do is that you don't go from zero to to 50. You go from zero to one. But hey, listen, like I said, all of you guys have gone through this, and if anybody says, "Hey guys, let's get together and do this," Jay, you get a bunch of guys together and say, "Hey, let's do something complicated." Talk to Nicholas about it. Get a bunch of guys together. That's the whole point. Is you don't need me at all. You guys can do it. All you got to do is just sort of and besides, you can do it. We all can use the Lyrique name if we want to. We don't have to, but we can. And so there are a lot of options. These were just some things that were some people had kicked around. Let's see. For a big balance wheel, we would best approach someone who already makes movements with these. Yeah, Wooten Lannon and Hader's right. Antoine. Antoine Martin or Gronfeld? Ha! I don't know is that Antoine Martin? I don't know him. Um, I wonder if the interest by Agenor is to a large extent due to the SPSG entry. SP, what is the SPSG? I don't know what that is. If we're not looking to do that, would movement makers be interested in a custom watch with small volume? KVOM, what is SPSG? No, Jay, you don't. Oh, that's okay. You mean the GPHG? I think every watch we do should look at GPHG. If we did the one with the Chronode, we could look at it as through the challenge category. You know, so is that what you meant? GPHG? Listen, don't feel bad. I did exactly the same thing the other day. I had some weird bunch of letters for GPHG. Anyway, so I don't know if that was. I think you know the idea of having our primary interest in something wonderful horologically rather than a quick buck outfit. I think was important to Agenor, and it is. I mean, we're we're a slow buck outfit. Okay. Well, listen. That was anything else today. By the way, too, after March 27th, which is, I guess, will be probably next Saturday or so. I'm not sure when it is. Um, by then, the rest of the world will be back on daylight savings, and we can get rid of all of this other stuff that we have to deal with. Um, yeah. Oh, and if it's not something that would be want to enter into GPHG, I agree with you. You know, get an MB&H. Well, what MB&H is already is that um, MB goes out and he invites F to join him. I think it's MB and F, not MB and H. But anyway, um, that might be something. The thing is, we can. I think if we if we do, know something that we want to accomplish, and we can figure out how to do it in a way that we can afford, we can do anything. I mean, really, that I think any of us, who are, rolling in money, we would have never done this. Well, there are some exceptions, but um, for the most part, we're just doing it because, at least me, I'm doing it because I want a cool watch that I can afford. So the rest of you guys, may be a little different. I don't know. Okay, anything else that anybody wants to kick around or have a question about that we can? And like I said, when I get information, I pass it on. I had, like I said, I invited both. Should we have another transfer of funds discussed? I only bring this up because of the $2,000 with no fees per month on Zelle. Um, Robert, I tell you what, I really want to do is that as far as I can see, I think we're good up to the point of the movement. And the reason I don't want to do anything now is that we've got any other kind of loose ends that we may need to cover. We need to do that in the last, we'll say, the last transfer, because I'm very uncomfortable having all of this money in the bank, to tell you the truth. And I don't. I mean, anybody would be, I think. And so I'm hoping that the invoices will come. I can empty out our bank account, and then when the when the next thing comes up and it's ready to be paid, we can do it then. And then that way I won't feel nervous all the time. I've been watching these things on Netflix where all these phonies are doing all these things to people. I thought, oh my God, they're going to come and get me. I want to be broke by the time they get to me. Um, yeah, but anyway, Robert, yeah, I think probably the last one we're going to have, as far as I can see, the movement's going to be 3,500, as far as I know, and that may or may not include the any kind of charges they may have for putting it together for us. And then there are the charges for shipping. I'm hoping that we could take care of that in one transfer, like maybe around 4,035 for the movement and any other kinds of loose ends that we've got to take care of. So, I just it's like, all right, okay, guys. Well, listen, we've got WhatsApp, we've got our Facebook page. So if there's anything else that comes up, I'll let you know as soon as it does. What I was going to post is an update on our finances and how much we've spent and what it's been spent on. I've been doing that as we go along, and I was hoping to add a few more. I'm sort of waiting to hear from uh, Fleeter, Flagger. What? God, I can't remember her name. Uh, Fiedler, waiting to hear from Fiedler, and you've already seen what we spent on the Lutrin, so we know you should know that. But I want to put them all together like I've been doing before, and then send that out to everybody so we can see where we are. Okay. All right. If you got any other ideas, Jay is in charge of all things complicated and expensive. All right. And the rest of you guys, any other ideas that you have. All right. Take care.